First thing I noticed about this question, we've got two choices that kind of mean the same thing. Nevertheless is basically a version of but. It's used for contrast. It's used to dismiss some idea. Instead, same thing. It's basically another word for but. So what that means is it's going to be very, very unlikely that one of those choices is correct, because they basically mean the same thing. So it's how would we tell the difference if they have the same meaning? There might be some very hard, very weird questions where these words that are in the same category might have enough of a difference that maybe one is right and one is wrong, but it's not going to come up very often. So at the very least, you might be down to a 50-50 shot just based on that categorization of those two words. But by comparison has a very literal meaning, right? We're talking about a comparison. Fittingly might be strange, so let's get to that if we need to. Okat Betek's poem, Song of Luwino, explores post-colonial Ugandan life through the eyes of a woman living in a rural village. With its vibrant imagery, bitingly satiric tone, and dexterous use of traditional Akoli song and phraseology, the poem inspired a generation of East African writers. Those who adopted its style are often referred to as Okat school poets. So it's definitely not a nevertheless or an instead, right? There's no contrast here. They're talking about the poem, and then they're talking about people who copied the poem, I guess. So I don't know where the contrast would be. But now by comparison, almost sounds like a contrast as well. Are we comparing Okat with the people who followed him or her? I don't even know. Assume maybe it's a woman because it's through the eyes of a woman. I have no idea. But yeah, it seems weird to use by comparison. That makes it sound like we want to emphasize a difference. What fittingly does is it emphasizes a similarity here. So fittingly is kind of just like, just follow the word, right? It fits, it matches, right? So why does that fit here? Because the people who copy the style of Okat should be called part of the Okat school. Like that makes sense. That fits, right? It's a logical thing. So that's basically what fittingly does. It says like, here's like almost like an obvious statement that relates to what we just said. I don't think this is going to come very often on these SAT transition questions, but we are going to have weird words that come up once a test, once in a while, once every couple of years. So you can't memorize all of the transition words because you will drive yourself crazy. It's too much to hold in your brain. But we can memorize the ones that come up again and again. And so choices A and D definitely are ones that we need to recognize instantly what the meanings are, but also that they mean the same thing, because then that helps us. And really then if you're deciding just between B, which is unusual, and C, which maybe you kind of get the sense doesn't really fit, then yeah, you got to pick B. It's the only thing left over. And that is an okay way to get some of these weirder, harder transition questions.